The previous owner called while I was sitting, music, in traffic wearing my hospital badge. Don't tell your husband, he said, come alone. My name is Marin Holloway and 1 week earlier, music, I had believed the new house was the beginning of something better. My husband, Ethan, had insisted we needed more, music, space for his father and younger brother who had both temporarily moved in after losing, music, their apartment. The caller's name was Leonard Price. His voice shook as he explained, music, that a living room camera was still connected to his cloud account. I saw them, he whispered, your husband, music, his father, and his brother. They were moving something behind the wall. I, music, nearly laughed from nerves. What kind of something? He went silent long enough for the traffic light to change twice. Then he said, music, a black duffel bag. Your husband opened it. There was cash inside, a lot of it. Music, my hands tightened around the steering wheel. Leonard lowered his voice. That wasn't the worst part. A horn blared behind, music, me, but I couldn't move. What did they say? He exhaled. They said once you, music, sign the insurance papers, they wouldn't need you anymore. Then he sent me a video. I pulled into, music, an empty grocery store parking lot before opening the video Leonard had sent. My fingers hesitated above the screen because some instincts, music, exist to protect us from truths we cannot unknow. I pressed play anyway. The footage showed my living room from, music, a corner near the ceiling. Ethan locked the front door before his father carried a black duffel bag across the floor. His brother knelt beside, music, the fireplace removing trim with practiced confidence revealing a narrow cavity inside the wall. Bundles of cash appeared one after another. Nobody smiled. Music, this was business. Ethan checked paperwork spread across the coffee table. Music, I recognized my signature on insurance documents covering the new house. His father tapped one page and quietly asked, she still believes, music, refinancing was her idea? Ethan answered without hesitation, she trusts me completely. His brother laughed, music, once. Good. Keep everything normal until closing. The recording ended there. No confession. No explanation. Only enough to poison every memory from the past week. Leonard called again before I restarted my car. You've only seen one clip, he said carefully. There are 3 more. My heartbeat slowed instead of racing. Whatever waited inside those remaining videos would decide whether I return home as a wife or as someone preparing for war. I drove home before sunset, forcing myself to breathe normally as I walked through the front door. Ethan greeted me with an easy smile, kissed my forehead, and asked about my shift. I answered every question without letting my voice tremble. If he noticed anything different, he never showed it. His father watched television with the volume low. His brother cooked dinner, joking about burning the steaks. Everything looked painfully ordinary. That frightened me more than the hidden money. During dinner, Ethan reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Our future starts here, he said. The words landed differently now. I excused myself after dessert, claiming exhaustion. Inside our bedroom, I locked the bathroom door and played Leonard's second recording. This time the camera captured the kitchen. Ethan spread blueprints across the island while his father circled one room with a pen. The insurance inspection happens Friday, his father said. His brother frowned. What if she notices? Ethan shook his head calmly. She won't. Marin always believes the best about people. His father smiled without warmth. That kindness is exactly why this works. The video ended before anyone explained what this meant. Then Leonard texted one sentence. Meet me tomorrow morning before anyone else wakes up. I barely slept. Every creak of the house sounded deliberate. Every whispered voice beyond the bedroom door carried new meaning. Before sunrise, I slipped outside with my spare keys and drove to the small diner Leonard had chosen. He looked older than I expected. He placed a faded folder beside my coffee, but kept his hand on it. I almost deleted everything, he admitted. Then I realized you deserve the truth. Inside were printed screenshots from the camera system, each stamped with dates and times. They matched the videos perfectly. I sold that house because my wife died there, Leonard said quietly. I never had money inside the walls. My stomach tightened. Then whose cash is it? I don't know. He leaned closer. But I know why they wanted your signature. He slid one final photograph toward me. It showed Ethan meeting a sharply dressed man outside a title office 3 weeks before we bought the house. Leonard pointed at the stranger. He's an insurance investigator. They weren't strangers. The room felt smaller. They planned this before you ever toured the property, Leonard continued. I think they're preparing a claim for a fire that hasn't happened yet. My coffee suddenly smelled like smoke. Then Ethan called. I woke up, he said. Where are you? I answered before the second ring, keeping my voice steady despite the panic climbing my throat. I couldn't sleep, I said. I went for coffee. Ethan chuckled softly. You should have woken me. I wanted some quiet. His silence lingered just long enough to make me wonder whether he believed me. Come home, he finally replied. Dad wants to discuss the renovation budget. After hanging up, Leonard pushed a small flash drive across the table. Music, I copied everything before disconnecting the camera. I slipped it into my purse. What would you do? Music, he looked toward the window. I'd learn exactly what they're planning before confronting anyone. The advice matched my instincts. Back home, Ethan wrapped his arms around me, warm and familiar. Music, I almost cried because the comfort felt genuine, even if the marriage, music, no longer did. His father spread renovation estimates across the dining table. We should increase the music coverage, he suggested casually. Construction costs keep rising. Ethan watched my reaction, music, carefully. I smiled and nodded. That makes sense. Nobody questioned my agreement. That music evening, while everyone slept, I searched Ethan's home office. Inside a locked drawer, music, I found an envelope containing forged receipts, false repair invoices, and one unsigned, music, life insurance application with my name across the top. I photographed, music, every document before placing each page back exactly where I had found it. Nothing could look disturbed. If Ethan suspected, music, I knew anything, every advantage I still possessed would disappear. Music, the unsigned life insurance application haunted me. Why leave it unfinished? The answer, music, arrived the following afternoon. I worked a half shift, claiming a migraine, then returned quietly through, music, the garage. Voices drifted from the kitchen before anyone realized I was home. His father spoke first. The policy activates, music, after her medical questionnaire. His brother sounded impatient. So, get her to sign, music, it. Ethan answered with unsettling calm. She already trusts me. One conversation and it's done. My pulse hammered, music, inside my ears. I backed into the laundry room without making a sound, raising my phone just enough to capture their voices through the cracked door. Then another, music, sentence changed everything. His father muttered, the fire only happens after the paperwork clears. No one argued. No one sounded, music, shocked. This wasn't an idea. It was a schedule. I slipped outside before they noticed my car. Sitting behind the wheel, I listened to the recording twice, forcing myself to absorb every word instead of reacting with fear. Then, an unfamiliar number texted me. I've been investigating Ethan for 18 months. We need to meet tonight. I agreed to meet only after demanding proof. The stranger replied with a photograph of Ethan entering the same title office Leonard had shown me, except this image included a timestamp from 18 months earlier. We met inside a crowded public library. The woman introduced herself as Dana Mercer, a state fraud investigator working undercover after multiple suspicious insurance claims had collapsed before prosecutors gathered enough evidence. She slid a thin file across the table. 3 houses, 3 fires, 3 surviving spouses who had unknowingly signed paperwork transferring financial control before each property burned. No convictions, Dana said quietly. Someone always disappeared before we reached them. I opened the file. Every transaction pointed towards shell companies connected to Ethan's father. My husband never appeared as the owner. He stays invisible, Dana explained. That's why we've never stopped him. I showed her Leonard's videos and my audio recording. For the first time, her professional composure cracked. This changes everything, she whispered. She asked me not to confront anyone. Instead, she wanted me to act exactly as Ethan expected. I returned home carrying groceries, smiling through dinner, laughing at familiar jokes. Inside, I felt nothing. Before bed, Ethan kissed my forehead and handed me an envelope. The insurance agent needs your signature tomorrow morning, he said. I accepted the envelope without hesitation and even thanked Ethan for handling the paperwork. He smiled with visible relief, unaware every conversation, recording, photograph, and document already belonged to investigators waiting nearby. The following morning, I signed nothing. Instead, Dana entered the conference room with uniformed officers, search warrants, and Leonard beside her. Ethan's confidence vanished before anyone spoke. His father reached for the folder, but an officer stopped him. His brother tried walking away until another investigator blocked the exit. The hidden cash, forged invoices, shell companies, insurance records, videos, and my audio recording fit together like pieces of one undeniable story. Nobody needed dramatic speeches. Truth carried enough weight. Months later, I finalized my divorce, reclaimed my peace, and watched every criminal charge move through court without looking back. Leonard eventually recovered ownership documents proving his house had been manipulated long before the sale. I planted flowers where fear once lived and stopped apologizing for trusting people who betrayed me. Their future disappeared behind courtroom doors. Mine finally opened beneath clear skies. I drove home alone, free, grateful, and unafraid. Justice never erased the scars, but it returned my voice, my choices, and belief in tomorrow completely. Completed.